Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. Massive fire burns at a fuel storage facility near Cuba's main power station. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Wednesday, 10th August 2022. Details when we return.
The hurricane season is now upon us, so we as Caribbean people need to remember to think safety and be prepared. Avoid venturing outside during a storm or hurricane, especially if there are strong winds. Rooftops and other debris are often blown about and can cause great damage.
Welcome back. Mexico and Venezuela have sent in reinforcement to assist Cuba's fire brigade to battle a huge fire at a fuel storage facility near Cuba's main power station. One firefighter is feared dead while 16 others are missing. More in this report.
An inferno still rages at the Antonio Guterres power plant, the most crucial in the country. On Friday night and Saturday morning, the fire had spread to a second tank, triggering a series of explosions. Yusney Sarmiento was hosing down the second tank just seconds before it exploded.
I let go of the hose, and when I started running, I got tied up in the hose and fell on the floor. But the fire engine had already started moving away, and I held on to it. That's what got me out of there. My other colleagues couldn't get away.
One firefighter has been confirmed dead. Another 16 are missing. Their colleagues haven't been able to get close enough to retrieve their bodies. Over 100 were injured. President Miguel Díaz-Canel visited some in hospital over the weekend. This could not have come at a worse time for Cubans who are already living through chronic power cuts. The war in Ukraine has driven up the price of global gas, and US sanctions on oil tankers, which were part of the Trump administration's maximum pressure campaign against the island, are still in place, driving up the cost of energy. Then there's the state of the country's energy grid, which hasn't received enough maintenance in decades, causing frequent power blackouts. Do you have power cuts several times a week?
Sí, ¿cómo que no?
Absolutely, and sometimes 3 times a day. In this zone, the power cuts out frequently. Today, we haven't had any, but yesterday we had 2 during the day. But you've got to adapt and see whether the country can resolve the situation.
Help came from Mexico and Venezuela, both sending specialists, helicopters, and chemicals to extinguish the flames.
The threat of inflation looms large in the results of the latest business performance survey issued by the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce. Solange Alfred of HTS News Force reports.
The results of the Chamber of Commerce's latest business performance survey are in. According to the lobby, the findings are not surprising, with the general uptick in economic activity with the reopening of the economy following COVID-19 lockdowns. The survey indicates that business confidence appears to be on the rise, with 66% of respondents forecasting increased turnover over the next 12 months, while 71% of respondents forecast a rise in business profitability over the same period. Only 29% of businesses surveyed, according to the Chamber, report worsened cash flow relative to the previous quarter from January to March 2022. But the Chamber says this optimism is tempered by 78% of respondents who anticipate an increase in the price of their goods and services over the next quarter, with 59% of respondents reporting an increase in prices over the previous quarter. Businesses worry that the threat of inflation could derail the expansion in consumption and economic activity that generates job creation. The Chamber reports that 61% of respondents are facing pressure to raise prices from the purchase price of goods, 59% from fuel, 59% from utilities, and 41% from labor costs. The lobby warns firms have little option but to pass on these increased costs to consumers. According to a press statement on the report issued on Thursday, quote, "The global inflationary pressures are affecting businesses across the board and are forcing them to pass on these price increases to customers as fast as they come. Managing this phenomenon will continue to be ticklish. Policy interventions, once again, must try and serve many masters: unemployment, social support, economic growth, and inflation. Post-COVID-19 economic recovery will continue to pose serious challenges for both government and businesses for some time." End quote. The Chamber concedes that there are limited policy tools as the government tries to balance various priorities without unraveling what it terms, quote, "the critical pistons of society and the economy." End quote. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
Trinidad and Tobago's Health Minister Terry Dial Singh, during a health briefing on Wednesday last, announced that priority will be given to healthcare workers and people testing positive for monkeypox virus for vaccination.
At this time, Trinidad and Tobago has not confirmed any cases of the virus, but preparations are being made to ensure the country's readiness to treat with monkeypox. The minister noted that the vaccination program for monkeypox will vastly differ from the administration of COVID-19 vaccines. So far, 2,000 doses of the 2-dose monkeypox vaccine have been ordered from the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO. No firm date of arrival of the vaccines on the island has been determined. Given the low numbers of cases in the Caribbean, Dial Singh said the number of vaccines the ministry was able to secure would be sufficient to manage the arrival of the virus. Today, the CARICOM region has recorded less than 20 cases.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
The top cop says crime and violence in Trinidad and Tobago are issues of great concern. TV6's Nicole M. Romney has more.
Acting Police Commissioner MacDonald Jacob says crime statistics are worrisome. According to him, all arms of national security must work together to ensure the safety of citizens and to curb crime.
When we do our analysis and we go back to 2018, right, 2016, 2019, you will see that the figures around this time was similar. Again, indicating that is no solid source, but indicating that there is a high incidence of violent crime in Trinidad and Tobago, and we need to work together to reduce it.
On the weekend, Mamoral residents caught 4 cable thieves and reportedly slapped them around, tied them with the same cables they tried to steal, and left them bruised and bloodied before handing them over to police. Today, the top cop says vigilante justice cannot be condoned.
Very, very easy to cross the line, and that is the reason why our police officers who live in the community also, that when these things happen, to be involved and guide the communities accordingly. You know, you can arrest someone, to the person, but after that person is subdued, there is no one have a right to continue beating and assaulting that individual into the law.
On the issue of arrests in connection with the killing of PC Clarence Gilks, he tells TV6 he believes the appropriate action was taken, given the circumstances.
I believe the action that was taken is a significant indicator of my action and my response to the situation, right? Which is, at this time, as you will see, appear to be in the benefit of the person who were offended at the time when the statement was made, you know. So action is more important in this instance than words.
PC Christian Genty has been charged with the murder of PC Gilks, while WPC Crystal Williams Bowen is jointly charged with Genty with shooting with intent to do grievous bodily harm. Nicole M. Romani, TV6 News.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines' Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves urged China to desist from its threats to Taiwan and scale down its military exercises, which seem geared to intimidate the people of Taiwan.
Speaking on a radio program on Thursday, Gonsalves said he intends to write to the Chinese government to desist from conduct which, by any reasonable reflection, would be intimidatory and a threat to the people of Taiwan and to peace and security across the Taiwan Strait and in East Asia and the world. The PM said St. Vincent and the Grenadines is a country that believes in the peaceful settlement of disputes. As he noted, there has been a dispute since 1949 between mainland China and Taiwan. He said both the people of Taiwan and of mainland China are part of the Chinese civilization and believes a civilization can have different political expressions.
Minister Simmons says a new electric and light power amendment bill in Barbados is fair and transparent. More in this Barbados Today News update.
Energy Minister Carrie Simmons today took on critics of government's Electric Light and Power Amendment Bill, insisting opposition to the measure is unnecessary posturing and political partisan rancor. Interveners have warned that the bill is unfair and seeks to limit public discourse on involvement on the issuing of licensing in the renewable energy sector. Government has since made changes to the bill. Section 5 of the Act has been modified, and Minister Simmons insists the legislation is simply intended to facilitate interveners and objectors and to ensure fairness on all sides.
All that I have come here to do is to make life easier for those people who want to intervene. All that I have stood here and said today, sir, has been about empowering those people who want to intervene in the interest of the wider public of Barbados to say, for these reasons, we believe, or I believe, that the Light and Power should or should not get a license to generate or to dispatch or to sell electricity. Now, Mr. Speaker, sir, it renders this then an unnecessary waste of parliamentary time, because we could have been in and out of this in 5 minutes. That I had to stand here on the floor of the House to go through this is because, sir, I remain faithful to those people who sent me here and to the leadership of this government, sir, which insists that there must be the fullest of accountability and transparency in the conduct of public affairs. We have nothing to hide in this matter, sir. And to the extent that there was the possibility of interpretations of a different type, we have pulled the legislation, we have redrafted so as to put it beyond doubt and make it elucidly clear, sir, that this government is only interested in the advancement of the well-being of this sector, in the advancement of the well-being of the stakeholders' interests, utility and non-utility, Mr. Speaker, sir. And as I have said before on the floor of this House, let us let it settle down, because we are too small and the global circumstances are too challenging for us to feel that we can ever survive if we create unnecessary strife and civil war between the utility and the populace of Barbados.
Minister Simmons called on the interveners and other parties to engage in constructive discussion in the interest of Barbadians.
I am inviting constructive engagement. I will be the first person at the table if we wish to have constructive engagement as to how we can make this sector work better in the interest of the people. But as you're going to be objecting, Mr. Speaker, and coming talking foolishness that seeks to put a barrier between the ability of the working class people in Fitz Village to access solar photovoltaics on their roof so that their home can provide passive income in hard times, so that they can offset the cost of sending the little child to school, offset the cost, Mr. Speaker, sir, of paying the mortgage, offset the cost of all the other bills that have to be paid, then I will be your worst enemy, because I can't deal with that. I believe, Mr. Speaker, so if you're going to engage constructively, then let us engage constructively.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.